There is a reason that defendants do everything they can to stay out of prison. Prison blows. I do not recommend it, but humans are amazing. We can adapt to almost anything, even being locked up in harsh conditions with people who don't play well in the sandbox. Lyle and Eric Menendez have had 30-plus years to adapt to their situations. But with 4 pathways to freedom right now in front of them, it might be time to start thinking about what freedom on the outside actually looks like. The day-to-day reality of it. No rigid schedules, or any schedules. Infinite possibilities, options, obligations, after decades of having none. Money probably won't be a problem. California's law preventing people from profiting off their crimes was repealed in 2002, so Lyle and Eric may well be able to turn their notoriety into millions. I want to bring in someone who knows a lot about going in and coming out. It's Larry Levine. He spent 10 years in federal custody in 11 different prisons. He's the founder of Wall Street Prison Consultants, which helps the newly convicted get ready to serve their time. And I assume every so often you get a call, Larry, from someone who says, how do I reintegrate? I feel like a fish out of water.
Good question. I mean, let's look at my situation. I was locked up for 10 years, certainly not 34 years like these guys. And the last computer operating system I used was Windows 3.1. Well, I get out, there's Windows 7, and it's like, what is this? I walk into, when you're inside, you shop at what's called the commissary. I called it the student store, where you're only able to buy limited items. And I walked out and I went into a 7-Eleven, into a convenience store. And usually you're in and out of those places in maybe 1 minute. I was there like 20 minutes just looking around like, wow, I could buy anything here that I want. And it's like culture shock, Ashleigh. It is.
So, I'm thinking back to 1989 when they committed the crimes, in 1990 when they were locked up. There were no we didn't carry cell phones around with us. We had those giant bricks if you had
computer.
One.
Remember the old dial-up computer,
Yeah.
CompuServe, and made the modem noise?
Yep. If you were lucky,
and the cell phones,
you had that.
Okay, and the cell phones were what, like the size of a brick? And I got out, I didn't
if you
know
were
there
lucky.
There was a flip phone, and somebody had a thing in their ear, a Bluetooth. And for me, it's like, wow, look at all this. It was like really nuts. And they're not really going to be released. I mean, people aren't looking at it in the right manner. You get out on parole, you're still in custody. You may be out on the street, but you're still into the custody of the Department of Corrections. It's parole. So they're going to be limited in what they can do and their movement and their job. And if they get into any trouble, they're going to grab them back. And, they're married now. I don't know if California has conjugals for lifers, essentially. But when you're inside and, they each have their women and such, well, when they get out, all of a sudden, there's going to be all kinds of women throwing themselves at them, guaranteed. I had it happen to me.
But how do those, I'm curious about how those prison marriages even work. Once you get let out and you've been on the inside, you've never really met your wife, so to speak. Do they usually work out?
Well, if they have conjugals, they know their wives. I don't know that they've had. I know people that got married that met their wife through a piece of plexiglass. But when they get out and other women are throwing themselves at them, their present wives aren't going to be too happy about that. And I see possibly some domestic violence in their future. Now, all of a sudden, they're going to get violated on parole. There's a term that we use. I'm Jewish, a Yiddish term. It's called chutzpah. And these guys are essentially, it means like nerve. They're trying to get parole by throwing themselves, by asking the court for mercy and throwing themselves on the court because they're orphans. And people aren't really buying this. Everybody is not going to like them. I personally believe these guys should stay in there forever. If Gascon really wanted to release them or let them go, he could have dismissed the charges, Ashleigh. He didn't.
What's interesting, Larry, is that Gavin Newsom could grant clemency, which means no parole issues, no nothing. They are free to walk about the country. And I'm so curious. I'm going to have you back when we learn more about what happens with them, because I am fascinated by the psychology of all of a sudden being on your own and making this weird, new, crazy society and the internet work. Larry Levine, as always, I love having you on. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.